What's up, guys? CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new episode of Hybrid TV, the podcast where we talk about all the big things going on the small screen. I'm joined, as always, by Will.
I'm alive, and I have returned.
And Tim. Tim, how you
How's
doing?
it going, everyone?
Tim can't die.
Nah.
I'll talk a little bit about the Star Trek universe. Discovery keeps on trucking. It came back from its mid-season break
Keeps on trucking.
last week. On the 7th, I think. It just had its second episode. So the first week confirmed that we are in the Mirror Universe. There's the nasty Terran Empire. And they basically just formulated this plan in the first episode. They're like, we're going to go undercover as our Mirror Universe counterparts. So Burnham is now the captain of the Shinjo. Lorca is a prisoner of war because of a failed coup. Trying to overthrow the Emperor, who was revealed this episode. Tilly, funny enough, is the captain of the Discovery, which is actually like one of the best parts about that episode, is that she has to act like she's this, terrible, tyrannical, murderous captain, which is like 100% a 180 of her character, her normal character. So it's actually pretty fun to watch. This episode was really the one that kind of let you were running with the concept, where we're no longer just kind of explaining what the idea is going to be, and you can start to fill in the gaps in your brain. This one was, okay, we're in the universe now, we're doing things, and they had to track down the leader of the Resistance, because Burnham got a mission to wipe out this rebel base. They find out the leader of the Resistance is none other than Vok, the Klingon, who is definitely Tyler, confirmed after this episode. And in the end of the episode, we got a big stinger. Burnham had been trying to let the rebels evacuate secretly, but they kind of are in for a rude awakening when all of a sudden a bunch of bombs start dropping on the planet. They're like, who the fuck fired that? Only to reveal that it was the Emperor herself. Are you guys ready for some spoilers?
Yeah.
Are you ready for some spoilers?
I'm ready.
You're
I'm
ready? Captain Giorgio is the Empress.
I kind of would have seen that coming.
Yep,
Giorgio.
Yep. I called it after last episode. I'm really glad that I was right. But she is stone cold in this universe too, as most Mirror Universe people are, and so that's obviously a huge development for Burnham, because she's not like 100% over Giorgio's death yet, and so it's a huge thing. It's going to be really interesting to see how that develops next episode.
I knew she was coming back just because I went to that Star Trek Discovery panel at NYCC.
Yeah. They confirmed she was returning. That kind of makes sense. I kind of figured it was going to be in this Mirror Universe arc as well. But they have everyone, and that's why it makes sense that they didn't just credit Michelle Yeoh 2 episodes. It's like she's credited for the entire series. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was to avoid suspicion with some of these twists that they've pulled off. Some of them that you could see coming a mile away, like Tyler and Vok.
Also, I assumed that they're going to use her for flashback scenes.
Potentially, they haven't really done that a lot.
It's weird because they set up they were going to do it in like the second episode.
They did a few. I think they set up. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in like the 3rd or 4th episode they did the flashback to when she first came on board. But other than that, they really haven't flashed back like a ton. It's mostly been very, very present. But I personally have been loving this new Mirror Universe arc. I'm higher on the show than a lot of people out there. I know there are a lot of people that don't like it. But this Mirror Universe arc to me is just like it's the best the show has been. Because it's really kind of, now that we're out from under the whole Klingon thing and everybody upset about the fact that they've changed the Klingons, we're into this really interesting plot where you're basically challenging the characters, because you spent 9 episodes establishing why the characters act the way they do and who they are and what their motivations are, and now they have to we get to watch the characters act, basically. And it's really kind of, we're already seeing
time to have some range, buddy.
I mean, Jason Isaacs is really, like, this episode especially, he is fucking nailing it in this half of the season, because he basically is getting tortured nonstop, 24/7, and he plays kind of somebody going through that very, very well. I've been very impressed, and I want him to be Norman Osborn now more than ever. Not necessarily because of the tortured thing, but,
he plays a good
I want to see Norman Osborn get tortured.
Hell yeah. Tortured his soul, indeed. But no, Tim, you're a Star Trek guy. What do you think about? I mean, you haven't watched in a while, but based on what you're hearing, what do you think about the way they're handling the mirror universe, and does it entice you at all to come back to the show?
I mean, it definitely sounds interesting, like what they're doing with the mirror universe, because this is the longest amount of time that they've spent in the mirror universe outside of like extended stuff like books and comics and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like a one-episode thing. It still exists. We get to see we get to let the actors play opposite their roles for a bit, and then we go back to business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's interesting that they're doing like a full arc in there, and
that's one of the most interesting things.
Sounds like a cool
yeah,
idea.
and I'm curious, like what they're going to do, like coming back from the mirror universe, if they're gonna make it back, stuff like that. Considering that no one seemed to know about it by the time of the original Star Trek.
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of phenomenon, and I will be interested to see how they play that off. Because it's not like something like Enterprise, where it was a completely disconnected story. In Enterprise, there was no one that switched places. It was just, hey, here's what's going on in the mirror universe.
Yep.
And it literally, I think it was 2 episodes. You're right. I think Deep Space Nine had a couple of episodes. Next Generation, I don't think had any, if I remember correctly. And then
no,
Originals,
they didn't. They're the only series that never went to the mirror universe.
Original series had just the one that was. I mean, it was really good. But this is definitely. It's the first time that they've done like an entire story arc. You're right, and it is one of the more interesting aspects of this new. This new approach is like, hey, why don't we just have them be undercover? And I have no idea how they're going to get back right now. They're kind of stranded because Stamets is 100% out of recovery, or out of commission, I should say. Mm. Not dead, just probably wishes he was. What else went on this? Because there was what was really interesting this episode is there were a lot of callbacks to that original series Mirror episode, because Spock kind of has the realization after that experience that, hey, the Federation could be a thing here too, and here's what I got to do. Yep. In this episode, Sarek is the prophet, I guess, for the Resistance, and he kind of reads people's minds. So he reads Burnham's mind and kind of sees like an alternate universe, and he's like, holy shit. And so it was kind of a little callback, I thought, to Spock having that thought.
They still have the Captain's Girl concept?
Not that I've seen. I guess they kind of, it's in the way that nobody on board the Discovery is or nobody on board the Shinjo is batting an eye at the fact that Burnham and Tyler were bumping uglies. I'm pretty sure that they're cool with it. That seems to be like a captain's man, I guess, is fine with them. But that kind of changed this episode because Tyler has been activated by meeting the real Vok. He has been his sleeper cell stuff has worn off, and so he's full on Winter Soldier mode. He's ready to comply. And now he's in the brig.